Wow, Normal Street. Normal Street is where I grew up. I have so many memories of Normal Street. That's where my family resides. As a matter of fact, my grandmother owns one house, and then my great grandfather and my great grandmother, they own the house right next door. So you can just imagine, family being over almost every single day, but especially on the weekends, family. So I grew up with a lot of people, cousins, uncles, aunties, family, friends, people that you didn't know was family. But I have so many memories of Norma Street. I say that Norma Street really made me into the man that I am. Now it taught me, street knowledge and street smarts, yeah. So Norma Street is where, I have so many childhood memories from, walking to the candy lady to go get candy and playing football in the middle of the streets and getting in fights at the bus stop. Of course I won. But Norma Street is a place where I will always go back to. That's home, and I'll never forget where I come from, no matter how far God takes me. Who is Thomas Cody? Thomas Cody is a young man who is totally in love with the Lord. He happens to be a father of four. I have four beautiful girls, Tanaya, Tyler, Madison, and Gracelyn. And Thomas Cody is a guy who really enjoys music. So I happen to be a musician and a producer. But I'm a lover of God, and I'm a lover of God's people. I love everyone. I tend to make the best out of every situation. Thomas Cody is a solutionist. I know how to look at the bright side of a situation. So I guess you would say that I'm very optimistic. I am a guy that loves to read. I love to read not only God's word, but I love to read books and study on how to get to the next level. And I really believe that reading, they say it's fundamental, but I really believe that reading books, it really unlocks those hidden things that you won't learn, practical, that you'll be able to see it on a piece of paper. And so, yeah, that's who I am.
And give God the glory, for he's put a new song in my mouth. And the song says, no weapon that's formed against me shall prosper. Grab your neighbor by the hand and say, oh.
I am a minister of the gospel. I have been preaching the gospel now 10 years. I'm 28 years old now. And I started preaching when I was 18 years old. I went to my spiritual father, Apostle Travis Jennings, and I looked at him and I said, God called me to preach. He said, are you sure? I said, yes. And he enrolled me in our Harvest Institute School of the Prophets. And from that day to this one, I have followed my spiritual father, all of the guidance and the wisdom that he's given me. He actually sat down with me and taught me how to preach, how to put together a message. He even gave me messages of his own to, just go by and, and create my own as an example. And so I'm so grateful. I'm so glad, I've preached, in many places. And so I'm just grateful to God that this year I celebrate 10 years of gospel preaching. It's really amazing how I was even conceived. My mom and my dad, they weren't married, but my mom and my dad, they came together and they prayed for me.
Oh, wow. I was excited, very excited. I was like, this is going to be my first. And me and his dad, I thought his dad was everything. I was only 18 and I was like, oh, wow, we getting ready to have a baby. At the time, me and his dad, we were always very spiritual. We were in the church at the time, and we prayed, for a child. We used to get on our knees every night, hold hands, and we prayed. And I don't know if it was mentioned, before, but we lost our first child. And our bond got stronger, and we just, said, you know what, we know the next time we have a child, he kept saying it's gonna be a boy, it's gonna be a boy. And I guess maybe like a few months later, I was pregnant again. And like I said, we prayed for him, and here he was. And like I said, I was 18, turned 19, like 2 weeks after I had him. And I was happy about my bundle of joy. I was, it was a boy. And like I said, I know he was heaven sent.
They prayed for a little boy, and there I was. And so my mom, she told me, a few years ago, just like Hannah gave Samuel over to the house of God, she gave me to the house of God. And so my mom and my dad, they came together and they prayed for me, and here I am. So I was birthed through prayer, and I don't take that lightly. I was birthed through prayer. I don't care what anyone says. I'm here because of prayer, and I'm still here at 28 years old because of prayer. And so my mom, she was a single mother raising 3 boys in one house. My brothers and I, we slept in the same room for 14 years until we moved to Gwinnett County. And then we finally had our, our own rooms in our big house. Wow, so I was about 12 or 13 years old. I came in on a Wednesday night doing a Bible study, and they were leading devotion. They were having devotion at the time, and Brother Scott was singing, I've got a feeling everything's going to be all right, in the key of G. I couldn't even play. And I walked down this aisle, and I remember, just going over to the organ, hopped on the organ. I couldn't play a lick, and I tried, and I stayed at it. And wow, from that Wednesday night to this day, I really appreciate God for everything that He's done. I've been in stadiums, I've been in domes, I've played for big names in gospel, and it started at this church.
Early on, Tommy, he was coming around with his grandmother. His mother was there also. You didn't know, but he was very inquisitive, and you saw him around the musicians. He was always coming around, the keyboard players. But he took to it real quick. I brought one friend in. We were going through a little transition phase, and Tommy, he was just over this guy's shoulder, nonstop. And just all of a sudden, he just kind of started showing him a few things, and then Tommy first got on a keyboard player, and I don't know if you're not a keyboard player. He was like this. He was playing, arms as wide as he could play, just kind of banging around. And I said, Tommy, come on, bring your hands a little closer together. And it was like overnight, he just brought his hands in, and it was just this magic that came out of this guy, that he was playing far beyond his years at a very early age.
Saturdays, because we were Sabbath keepers. So Sabbath school at 10 o'clock, Sabbath worship at 11 o'clock. We had church on Monday nights, even Wednesday nights, and that's where I started playing, coming to Wednesday night Bible study. It was like a prayer and praise devotional. And I just remember growing up in this church, sitting on the second row next to my grandmother. I'm so glad that I grew up in the day that I grew up in the 90s. I'm a 90s baby, but I still got, that foundation of holiness and learning the Word of God and learning the old songs. And to this day, I still play them. I still sing them. This church really is so important to me because I got my foundation here at Seventh-day Pentecostal Church. We grew up in this church, and this church was really founded on prayer. This church really believes in prayer. And so, churches now, they have life groups and small groups and youth groups and children's group and music groups. But this church still, to this day, has prayer groups and prayer bands is what they call them. Prayer is such an important part of my life. It's an important part of the Christian's life, period. But I really believe that 7-Day Pentecostal really put that in me, to pray and call on the name of Jesus. So many Friday nights I can remember coming here for Friday night shut-in. And Friday night shut-in was where I was anointed to play. One of the prophets came up and got the oil and anointed my hands, anointed my ears, and told me that I would hear music and I would play prophetic music. This is before I even met my spiritual father, Apostle Jennings. I was anointed to play here. And so, I just thank God, just for, wow, always having his hand on my life. Another thing, my baby dedication was here. I was born in this church. My baby dedication was here. And it was about, I think it was about 10 years ago. I was 18, and one of the deacons came to me and he said, I remember when Pastor Heath dedicated you to God, and Pastor Heath prophesied over your life and said that God will use this baby, that this baby will preach the gospel, that this baby will be sanctified, that this baby will be different. And I'm just trying to figure out why my life went the way it went. I couldn't go to clubs. I'd never been to clubs or none of that. I couldn't do certain things, and it was all because I was anointed. My mom gave me over to this church. She verbally told me that she gave me over to the house of God. She gave me over to, the service of God and his kingdom. And so I'm just grateful that even when I was a baby, God's hand was on my life, and and it was prophesied that the things that I'm doing now, preaching and playing, prophesying, and and different things, that was prophesied here at this church. So I sit on this very organ at the age of 12 or 13, and this was the first organ that I ever played on. And to think about all the thousands of organs that I've been on, it started right here in Scottsdale, Georgia. I just remember, man, being hungry to play, being in my room, every night playing the keyboard, and then coming to church, playing the organ. I used to walk to church. I used to catch rides to church. I used to ride the bus to church. I would get out of school and literally come to this church, and I had a little small TV, the TVs that had a VCR connected to it. I had a small TV sitting on this organ, and just learning how to play. So I would watch videos of like John P. Key and Fred Hammond, Donnie McClurkin, and watch their concerts on VHS tape, and I would play the organ as if I was, playing at their concert, and I would be here by myself playing. And I remember, I'll be in here sometimes playing, and Pastor Miller, she'll walk in and she'll just come in and sing along with me. But Mark Miller was the one who really cultivated me and the other young musicians here at this church to play. Yeah, we were anointed to play, but he really cultivated our gift and taught us. He is a bass player, and how a bass player taught an organist, I don't know. But I learned so much from Mark Miller. Like, he made us practice like we were grown men. We practiced so much. We spent the night at the church. Like, we spent the night at the church and would stay here and sleep and then shower at the church because we wanted to play so bad. And that was the time before we even started getting paid. See, we didn't know we were supposed to even get paid from the church. We was not looking for a check. But I just remember those days, man, just being hungry to play and couldn't wait to come to church. I would be in school thinking about this organ. I would be in class thinking about this organ, and I was so something. I would come here and have a hymn book sitting up here, and I didn't even know how to read music. But I'll have a hymn book. I'll come to church in my suspenders. I was the organist of this church at 12, 13 years old, man. It just brings so many memories from choir rehearsals. And, oh my God, it was just amazing. And so I'm grateful to God that, I can still be able to come back and come back to the very first organ that I ever played on. I produced projects and different things as such, and has traveled the length and breadth of this country with my spiritual father. But it all started right here. I grew up in a single family home. My mom, she raised 3 boys. She worked multiple jobs to raise 3 boys. Myself, Jerron, who is no longer here, and Javen. And talking about that, one of the most challenging things that I've ever had to do in my life was to bury my brother. About 3 years ago now, my brother Jerron, the brother that was under me, was murdered. And I had the privilege, but also the heavy responsibility to bury my brother. It was in that time, from the time I received the phone call about my brother being gone, I was absolutely blown away. But that's why having a leader like my spiritual father is so very much important, because even though he was my brother, I had to look at him like a soul. And I believe that in that moment that God was really building something in me to be able to disconnect from just being a brother to now being a minister of the gospel and being a man of God, and be there for my mom and my family. And I remember the day of my brother's funeral. I was trying to find words to even say the morning of, and I was sitting at the table trying to piece words together, and I don't even know how I was able to stand at the pulpit and my brother right in front of me in a light blue casket. I'll never forget. It was, oh my God, it's one of the worst times of my life, but God did something in me, and I really appreciate him for it. My mom is such a strong woman. My brother Javen is such a strong young man, and so we've always been a tight, connected family. And so that season there of my brother leaving, and then having to go through, the whole legal process, everything, it was strenuous, but, thank God he brought us through it, and he made us who we are today through that. So I really appreciate God for that season too. Wow. I am 28 years old now. And most people, they celebrate, the milestones, 18 years old, 16 years old, 18, and then 21, 25, and then 30. But 28 is such an important year for me, because honestly, if I be honest, I never really celebrated my birthday. Of course, I went out to eat before, but I've never really just celebrated my birthday. Around my birthday, it was always a time of depression for me. For some reason, I don't know why, but I never really had a desire, to throw a big lavish party and, But this year, 28, it means so much to me because of the last 7 years that I just came out of. I literally went through an emotional roller coaster, up and down, depressed, oppressed, stressed, you name it. I was in it. And to literally be free, and to literally be happy, and to literally just have, the real joy of the Lord. Not that church joy that I used to have, cut it on because I had to play, or cut it on because I had to preach. But no, I literally have the joy of the Lord. I literally feel the freedom of the Lord. And so to see 28, after all that I have experienced, after all that I have been through, I could have killed myself. I could have killed other people. But, I thank God for, him putting that root in me, that I knew I knew that even while I was going through situations and circumstances, I knew that it was for the glory of God. His word says, "For I reckon that the suffering of this present time is not worthy to be compared to the glory that will one day be revealed." And I believe that when the fullness of time has come in my life, that I believe that I will be able to share great testimony of how God really brought me out of perversion, how God brought me out of oppression, how God brought me out of stress, how God brought me out of low self-esteem. I am so happy. And so 28 is such an important year. I celebrate 10 years this year of preaching the gospel. I remember going to my spiritual father saying, God called me to preach. And he enrolled me in our Harvest Institute School of the Prophets. And from that day to this day, I've had the opportunity to preach before him, to preach with him. My first time preaching was actually with my spiritual father. It was a tag team. And every time I minister, I can look over to my right and he's always there. And so I celebrate 10 years of gospel preaching. I've been constrained to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I can't go certain places because of this gospel. I can't do certain things because of this gospel. I can't have certain friends because of this gospel. And you know what? I'm glad about it. My life is the better. My life is so eventful. Having 4 children, of course, my life is so eventful, but to really live in the promise and walking out your destiny and walking out your purpose every single day of the week, that's the ultimate life. That's the prosperity life. And so 28 is so important to me. And then, you know what? I'm 28 on February the 8th. So I'm 28 on 2/8. And so I'm just excited that things are just lining up for me. Things are just coming into order for me. This is going to be an amazing 28. Eyes have not seen, neither has ear heard the great things, the amazing things that God is getting ready to do in the life of Thomas Cody. So I want you to stay tuned to what God is getting ready to do. And not only am I an author, but I'm also an entrepreneur. September of 2017, we launched Forward Movement Only. Who is we? Myself and my daughters, Tanaya and Tyler. We launched Forward Movement Only. In the summer of 2017, God gave my daughters and I this great unction to go out and feed the homeless. And we went out, we had so much fun, and it was such a time of gratification for my daughters that they told me that this is something that they wanted to do even when they grow older. They wanted to work in government. And so me being the father that I am, I started Forward Movement Only, the nonprofit organization. And I started this, and this organization is an organization that feeds the homeless. This is an organization that clothes the homeless. This is an organization that really pushes millennials to go back to school, to go to college, help them enroll in college. And so eyes have not seen the great things that's going to even happen with Forward Movement Only. But not only is it a nonprofit organization, but Forward Movement Only is an urban clothing brand. Yes, we have t-shirts and sweatshirts and outfits, and my daughters, they're the brains behind this. I'm just a puppet on the string. This is their idea. And so since September 2017 until now, February, in less than 6 months, Forward Movement Only has literally been around this country. Of course, in our home in Atlanta, Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Detroit, Michigan, Oklahoma City, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, and the list goes on. And they're still buying at forwardmovementonly.com. And so I just believe that Forward Movement Only, this urban clothing brand, is going to provoke everyone who places on this shirt, not just a shirt, but it's a mantle, that it will provoke them to move forward in every area of their life. And my girls, they're the brains behind this. I'm just the one who started it for them so I can pass it on to them.
It wasn't about money. It wasn't about any kind of selfish gain. It was just pure. You know, he just wanted to know. He wanted to be good. He wanted to be better. You know, he wanted to be the best. And I loved that drive in him. And, you know, just always had a pure, just honest, just his passion. It was just overwhelming. I love him. You know, I love Tommy like a brother, love him like a son. Love his family. He's just good people. Just good people. As many times I would drive and pick him up, take him to rehearsal. And it was those drives, you know, on the way to rehearsal and on the way taking him back home that we had some of these conversations. It was, you know, it was just a conversation, but you don't even know what you're imparting to people at the time. You know, we would just listen to music and we would talk about, you know, what to listen to, you know, the pattern, you know, the difference between, you know, just making music versus being a selfish musician, you know. And, you know, he took that thing and ran with it, man. Tommy is a master. What we used to do, coming close to our like homecoming, I would like arrange a lock-in. You know, I'd give all the musicians the music about a month in advance, you know, because, you know, I try to instill in them, you know, we don't come to rehearsal to learn music. You learn music at home. We come and we'd have these lock-ins and we would tighten these things up and we eat and, you know, we play games, but, you know, sometimes like Tommy and Terrell and some of these other ones, because, you know, we had horn sections and everything going on at one point, and sometimes they would just get so busy and everybody doing, you know, I'm throwing sticks at folks. I'm like, or they come to rehearsal, I just tell them, go home. Y'all don't even know the music. Go home. Y'all wasting my time. But they got those little lessons, you know, and it wasn't in being mean. It was just get the lesson. Because it's not so much about technical proficiency. And I used to tell them here in Atlanta, man, everybody can play. You can find a good, you know, bassist, keyboard player, drummer. We could go out here and find one any minute now. But the difference is, you know your music ahead of time. You know, come in, be polished, play the song. Don't play how you wish it was written. Play the song how it was written. And then if they want you to embellish, then embellish. But just give them the meat of the song. And, you know, we don't need all these little ghost notes in between. We don't need all this stuff. We don't need to feel every, you know, at the end of every measure. Just play the song and let the music breathe. And like I said, they got it. They got it, man. I'd take Tommy and Terrell anywhere. Tommy, if I was going to say one thing, I would say keep doing what you're doing. You've put God first. You're under great leadership. You're taking authority in your family. You are a man, not becoming a man. You are a man of God. Just keep doing what you're doing. Continue to pray, continue to focus, fast, seek the Lord. Let him continue to guide you, man. And this is just the beginning. The best is yet to come. Love you, man.
Basically, growing up, Tommy was my crybaby from the very beginning. He was a crybaby, and like I said, I got him into the church, you know, at a very young age, and he continued to just stay in the church even when I wasn't, you know, there. He was there. He started, you know, kind of wanting to, you know, stay around, you know, aunts and uncles, my grandmother, playing on the keyboard, you know, at church, you know, from when he was like 4 years old up. So he basically, like I said, was just always in the church. And, you know, when I wasn't there, you know, one night I just gave him to God, you know, all three of my boys, you know, and Tommy just remained in the church the entire time. He went from, you know, the keyboards to playing the drums. He was always into music, you know, that was his thing. And then, you know, of course, the Bible, you know, everything, you know, his bond, you know, with God got a whole lot stronger throughout his years. But he was, you know, always a good child. You know, I would say he was always good. Never had any problems out of him at all. And I just kind of felt like, you know, he was being responsible. The one time he started working for the church, and he decided, you know, he really didn't want to go to school anymore. And I was having problems going up to school like every day with him, just skipping school. And so he started working for the church, and he was, you know, getting paid. And I was like, well, okay, Tommy, since you're making this amount of money, I think at the time back then it might have been about $150 a week. And I was like, well, Tommy, you need to start, paying like $25 a week, as, just trying to teach him responsibility. And oh my goodness, we had it out. It was like every time it was time for him to pay, he wouldn't come home, that particular weekend when it was time for him to pay, his bill. And so I said, well, Tommy, either you're going to work or you're going to go to school. If you don't want to go to school, if you work and you stay here, you need to pay a bill. I said, it's not about, giving me the money, because I don't need the money. It's just teaching you how to be responsible. He just couldn't understand why he had to pay, because I was mom and I shouldn't have to pay a bill here. And I was like, no. I was like, everywhere you go, you have to pay. And if you're not going to do what you're supposed to do, then, he was like, well, I'm just going to leave then. I'm going to move out. So he decided he wanted to go move in with his friends, Brandon and, Cooley and all them. And I was like, okay, so that was fine. So that was that one time where, we just had it out. So he decided he just wanted to go stay here, there, and everywhere, instead of paying. And eventually he came back home. He was like, Mom, I'm gonna just stay here, and I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. And, and I was like, okay. But yeah, we really had it out, at that time, because he just always felt like, you're mom, so I shouldn't have to do anything, But that was the one big time we had it out, and we haven't had any issues since then. Over the years, I watched him grow. Like I said, he went from, this, little kid, dancing and shouting in the church. And, then he, got into the music, start playing, the keyboards and the drums and so forth. And then, like I said, as he grew, into the young man of God that he is now, I was amazed. I knew that, he was sent from heaven. I prayed for him. I prayed, that, my child, would always be covered. And I've just always been so proud of him. He's an amazing child of God. And, God gave him a gift. And, I don't know, I can't really just say how proud, of him that I am. He has really become a outstanding and great man of God. I've watched him grow, and I am so proud of him. I want to say happy birthday, son. This is new for me, but I said I would do this for you. But I wanted to be here today to wish you a happy birthday. I hope everything, is beautiful and you have a blessed day. I wanted to also say to you that I love you. I always have, and I always will. I'll always be here for you. If, you need anything, Mom is always here. Even, when you thought I wasn't, I was all the time. I'm always praying for you. And I know God got you. I'm proud of you today, tomorrow, forever. You have become an amazing man of God. And just continue to do what you're doing. And I'm going to continue to keep you in my prayers, so that you would continue to move forward. Just want to say that I love you. And I'm always here for you.
Really, it was kind of exciting because he was going to be, just because of he was a boy. And it was like when we went to the hospital, for her to have the baby and everything, we were just all just so excited and happy. And then here comes Tommy, and we were like, ooh, oh, ah. We never did say, oh, he's so cute and all this and that stuff, because we was like, oh, when kids are not cute, we just be like, oh, ew, look at him. So anyway. Anyway, girl, it was just kind of like that, when it was first born. And I guess probably about maybe when I started taking him to church at a real early age, probably like 6-9 months, something like that. And gave him back to the Lord and everything. And anyway, my pastor was his godson at the time, and he just always just grew up in the church, So I guess it was just like when he finally realized, what was going on. He was just a typical little kid, running around, jumping around in the church, whatever. And he just, I guess it was like he just wanted to play. He wanted to play instruments. So, tell you the truth, I borrowed, when he was like probably about 4 or 5, I borrowed a keyboard for him, and he just started, just bam, 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 and we would just get so sick and tired of him, like on that keyboard, that we would send him up the steps, send him upstairs, but I've just always noticed that he was different, because he didn't really, do the typical things that young kids did, he didn't really just love to go outside playing and all this and that stuff, he just liked to kind of just hang out, play inside, and that was about it. And then another thing that y'all probably don't know, but when he was real young, probably about 5, me and him was outside one day and a cat chased us, and it was a mean cat, so this cat chased us, and Tommy started having a stuttering problem. After that, I think he might have got so scared of the cat, because both of them scared of him, to tell you the truth. And so he got a stuttering problem. And then, he kept the problem as he was growing up, through the years. And then all of a sudden, it was like, once he, during the years, he just started, my pastor had already told me when he was real young, not really saying that he prophesied or anything, but he was just like, I'm just going to be a preacher one day, so I just kind of felt like it, but it was like he, I guess by the time he, started, getting older and older, he never ever wanted to stay out of church. I mean, never. Anytime anybody's going to church, Tommy was going to be there, If it was not with me, it was with his other grandmother or somebody, He just always liked going to church, Okay, so right now I am just happy to say that he just, he's just the kind of grandson that everybody would be proud to have because of the way he did grow up, and I don't think it was really just us that really did it for him, but I think it was just God's hand on him all the time, because he could have grown up just like everybody, just like all the rest of them around him, but he was just different. And he didn't let the fact that he had a child at a really early age stop him, it was like he just wanted to continue on with God to see where he could go to no matter what. And then, once he did start, preaching and everything, I went to hear him, for the first time, and I'm like, darn, he don't even have a stuttering problem no more. It's like God was just like, he just did it for him, he just, because he couldn't hardly get 5 words out without stuttering. So, just to see how God, what God was doing for him in his life, it just made me, just say, I was just real proud of him, just happy for who he is, how he was growing up, what he wanted to do with his life, how he wanted to live his own life. It was not like out in the streets, or none of that stuff. Although he did his little things, but he never let anything took him away, from what he really wanted to do, and that was just like preaching and playing and, being a saved young man and, all that stuff. It's your birthday, and this is one of the most important times in anybody's life. I feel like it's an important date, your birthday. So always remember that. It's your day, and on your birthday, I feel like you should just do whatever you feel like you want to do. You don't have to go to church if you don't want to. That's funny, I'm just saying that. But anyway, I just want you to have a good day, I've always loved you. I've always tried to guide you in the right direction, and, you've been doing that, I know you always come to me for advice when you You know, when there's nobody else, you know, you can always talk to me. And so I just want to say, you know, Dad, I'm just so happy and I'm so very, very proud of you. I mean, you couldn't be a better grandson. You know, I couldn't ask for anything else more, you know. So anyway, I just want to say, honey, that I love you and I'm always here for you. And have a happy, happy, happy birthday.
Hello, my name is Mary Hooks, and I'm the best friend ever in the family. I'm just like an adopted sister. And Tommy is my play nephew, and I couldn't be more proud of him ever. I go to Beulah Missionary Baptist Church. I sing in the J.D. Black Senior Choir. Tommy give me inspiration. I always want him to play a song so I can sing it, but we haven't been able to do it yet. But I am so very proud of him. He's a grown, handsome, blessed, godly young man. Happy birthday. I love you. I will always love you. You give me inspiration to stay in church and praise the Lord and stay singing in the choir.
Doc.
Tommy Cody. Wow.
It's been a journey, man.
Tommy Cody.
A long journey. A long one.
Well, I basically grew up with him. Me and him grew up together, the same church. Tommy, I mean, we pretty much. I mean, when I got my first car, the first person I picked up was Tommy Cody. Now, you would have thought we would have went go see a girl or something. We went to church.
That's facts. We went to church
We went to church what? Every day.
Saturday, Sunday.
Every day, really.
So
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That weekend was nothing but church.
pretty much. So when his mom was like skipping school.
Anything in between, it was. I mean, if we had anything in between.
So pretty much, we would skip school to go to church.
Skip school to go to church.
Playing
And guess who
conference.
picked him up? Where the camera right here? Guess who picked him up? I did. So I guess I'm the responsible person for them not going to school.
He the reason why I'm a little slow today. Honestly, facts.
I had to pick up. I think Tommy was in the ninth grade. This man's to call me. Or was it you?
We both.
Tommy be like, man, come pick me up.
We would pick me up from Stevenson. Then we would drive all the way to
Shallow
to pick
High
up
school,
Tommy.
time to pick up Tommy.
He'll be in the band room or in the production room, skipping, making beats on Cubase. I'll
Making
never forget
beats.
that. Cubase. On Friday nights, Tar Boulevard.
Tar Boulevard. After Friday night prayer from 7 at Pentecostal, maybe we had Friday night prayer or rehearsal, something like that.
Yeah, we did have rehearsal.
And then after that, we went straight to Tar Boulevard.
All the time.
All the time.
Every day. For
Tommy,
an
you
hour.
know who stayed in Tar Boulevard.
That's funny. I'm not telling that story. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Tommy went to go see one person. He went to go see another person.
This ain't about me. You talking about Tommy.
I know, but you still went to go see. You was still there. Chris was too.
Yeah, he was.
Fat Chris was there too.
It was. And by the way, this Big Brandon. His name is still, it don't matter if he get married, have kids, he's gonna always
It's not
be
about me, though. It's about
Big
Tommy.
Brandon, that's true.
It's about Tommy. Yeah, it's about Tommy.
Tukey, Brandon.
Tukey.
Cool.
But yeah, me and Tommy pretty much lived together. Let me tell you something. Tommy used to be at my mom's house. When I stay at my mom's, he used to be up there all the time. Matter of fact, Tommy still got clothes over there. Still to this day. Dog, when you coming to get your clothes, man? I mean, you got shirts, pants, shoes, some socks, maybe a couple, I don't know. He probably got some drawers there too. I don't even know.
I'm sure we all got clothes over there. I'm sure.
Oh, from him too, yeah.
I'm sure we all got clothes over there. Growing up, you know, we always in church, but you know, eventually, you know, life got serious. Things got more serious. He we all matured, and from there, life just got better, sweet. I mean, there was always bad days, but there was good days too. Yeah, man, we all still here.
I'm proud of the reason why he got the 2 kids, But on a serious note,
I cannot.
But on a serious note, though, I mean, Tommy, man, he's been a great inspiration in my life. I probably wouldn't have the playing abilities that I have now if it wasn't for Tommy Cody. Was watching him encourage me to want to play as well, and he taught me. I think he taught me my first song. He taught me "Bread of Heaven." Then he taught me some shout stuff too. I was that person. When Tommy got off to start shouting on the organ, I was that person to get up there and, because that's the only thing I know how to play.
Yeah, pretty much.
But shout music.
Shout music. These fools will pull over on the side.
Oh
of 285.
yes.
On the side of no, not like a regular. Anywhere really, but these niggas did it on 285. It could be traffic. If it's traffic.
No, we didn't put it on 285.
Yes, y'all did. I remember that.
Over on the, I remember stopping at a red light.
Y'all did 285.
That might have been 285. I don't know.
Yeah, that was the new one. 285. Shouting. Tommy running down the highway, back to the car.
No, he probably getting his clothes on 285. He probably running to get his clothes. You remember Tommy got? I know Tommy got a memorable moment on 285.
He really do. Right before you get to what exit is that?
I think Glenwood.
He know what we talking about.
Matter of fact, I think you know what? I think me and my fiance the other day we passed by there. I think I seen a pair of pants out there.
I seen somebody selling a duffel bag full of clothes. I think it was his.
I think it was your clothes, Doc.
I'm telling you, it gotta be. It gotta be. There's a lot of button ups. A lot of button ups. Facts.
Now, remember them times where Tommy introduced me to Tommy had me perming my hair.
I was thinking about that too. Okay. We used to put S-curl kits in our head.
And black part.
S-curl kits. We didn't know what we was doing. I didn't know you weren't supposed to scratch or comb your hair. I think 24 hours before or something like that.
I don't know. That Tommy had.
As soon as I slapped it in there,
that just started itching. Burning.
Like a stove. It was hot. Dude. Never again. I'm talking about my head was raw for about a month. I couldn't.
Man, you did that for quite. You still did that for a while.
I mean, yeah, but I knew not to scratch my head before I did.
Oh yeah. Well, of course we.
S-curl.
Of course we. Finally learned how to do it.
Right. But no more S-curls.
No more S-curls. This is natural.
Yeah. Praise God.
Natural. What a camera. Natural.
Praise.
Natural curls. I didn't need no S-curl kit. The Lord revealed that to me.
I know Tommy did.
Hard. Tommy taught me how to shout too.
He did.
He taught me how to cut one.
Y'all did. We would just be in the church. Like most people hanging out was video games, arcades, movies. Our hanging out was at church.
Yeah, church.
Like my grandma was the head usher at the time or something like that. Or was it your mom?
No, like my mom was the head usher.
Okay, his mom was the head usher, but my grandma had a key. So me and Tommy would go.
Oh, don't tell that story.
Up to the church. In
my car.
Whenever he was asleep at work, on the clock, off the clock, somehow Tommy had his car. I don't know how he did it, but he would come pick me up, and we would just I never asked no questions, but Brandon would call us in the middle of whatever we doing. Like, where y'all let him getting off? We all the way on the south side. He all the way over here by Stonecrest at Sam's Club. Sam's Club. I'll never forget that day. I would never forget them times. Like, for real.
But tell the church story.
What church story?
The church story.
Which one? It's a bunch of church stories.
Yeah, it was Saturday night church stories. The downstairs. You gonna tell that story, huh? No. You can edit that.
I'm not telling that.
You're not telling that one. But no, I mean, yeah, Tommy's my boy. And I'm proud to call him my best man. He is actually one of my best men at my wedding, and yeah, I'm just proud to see where he is right now. I mean, he's a loving father. I mean, when I see what he do with his kids. He's very active with his kids. He's an entrepreneur. You know, anything Tommy did, it was gonna be big. Like what he doing right now, this is big.
Yeah.
Did y'all open up a business one time?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, a lawn care service.
A who? A lawn care service. That's right.
Horrible idea. It wasn't. The idea wasn't bad. It wasn't the idea. What it was, we didn't invest in a trailer. So I was putting a lawnmower in my Lexus GS300 in the back seat. No, for real. I was putting it. Man, it scratched up my tent, everything. I remember Tommy had me cutting Matt Church for like. Really? Okay, this is what happened. Matt paid us. Matt, if you ever see this, Matt paid us like $60, right, to cut his church grass, right? $60. It was like $60 or $100. It was something. I know we was. It probably was $100.
I should be getting more.
It probably was $100. I think we were gonna do 50-50. Long story short, it was a crackhead. Everybody know Glenwood got all the crackheads walking up and down the street.
Glenfair.
Tommy went to go preach the terms. He went to go minister to him. Next thing you know, he was back cutting the grass for us. We chilling, eating. We just paid him $20. We pocketed the rest. That was the end of that business because, like I said, stuff started venturing off. We didn't think the whole thing through. We was thinking locally. That's what it was. We didn't think global. But through it all, we here now. You know, he's a successful producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, successful producer.
Future Grammy Award winning.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Tommy is good, man. He's awesome. He's awesome.
Book.
I have watched people talk about him in front of his face, and sometimes I just wonder why people did that to him. But I bet them people who same folk who talked about him, they see him now. I bet they wish they can reverse everything they said about him.
I mean, that's anybody. I think that's anybody. Yeah, man. Tommy. Happy birthday,
Happy
Doc.
birthday. What is it, 28?
Oh yeah.
28.
That's another thing. Tommy young, but if you meet him, you would think he older than
old
what
man.
he is. He got an old soul.
spirit.
Like for real. I remember days we would just walk in. We never knew a Jonathan Alvarado, but we would just walk in his office. That's how we got a lot of musician gigs. Total Grace. We would just walk in, people just
Following Tommy.
following behind Tommy.
Following behind Tommy. Tommy
Following
was like that
behind
go-getter. Like Tommy wasn't scared to do nothing. Like
That's facts.
I mean, Tommy was just
That's
that.
facts. I didn't know what
Let's do it.
was.
I'm like,
until that day.
Tommy, are you sure about this? Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we just walked up in Tony, Total Grace, like, and y'all actually was sitting down playing.
Yeah, we got the job too.
Y'all got the job. I can't believe that.
We were like, what, 17, 16?
Y'all was younger than that one.
We were super young.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Super young. Super
Yeah,
young.
Tommy, man, we love you, man. We will always be bros, like,
Yes, sir.
for life.
Yes, sir.
For life. We always be bros. For life. Yeah, we for.
I think she did try.
Oh, for life. Or do this like this. Either. No, but see, I can't do the L like that. I do the L like this. Can you do it like this? Then.
All right, you do that. I'm doing 4. You do the L.
Okay. Go for life. Bros for life.
That was a gang sign.
Bros for
Invented.
life.
For sure.
Bros for life.
Bro, all that to say, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We proud of you.
Proud of you, man.
I mean, there's always new
Wishing
levels.
you many more, man.
New levels, man. New levels this year. Level up. If we can encourage you, you encourage us.
Oh, he always encouraged me.
So
Always.
keep striding, man. Keep striding. It's only the beginning from here, Doc. We love you. We really do love you, Doc. Like for real. Yeah, man. You bro for real. Like he got a sister and brothers. I got brothers, but you technically like one. Like
Oh yeah, you probably
one of the
family,
official.
man.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna talk about you all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what time are you doing? What time are you up to?
Yeah. Family for life, Doc. For sure. Love you, man.
Much that, you know, he was involved in because he still had his own thing going in, like band and, you know, going to church, rehearsals and all of that. But like I said, being a big brother, he was a good big brother though. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't the type to just. Cause I know a lot of people like they big brothers and stuff like that. Like they weren't close at all. Like we were real close. We all the three of us were close. Like we was all we had. You know what I mean? And whatever he might have wanted or whatever one of us wanted, we all kind of made it happen together. That's what it was, really. Like, yeah, maybe if I asked him to borrow his clothes or whatever it was, he would have, I believe he would have let me do it, but I just was taking it, wait till they go to school, sneak it on, might have my book bag with another outfit in it, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like, when Jerron passed away, it was more like, me and Tommy kind of grew. Well, I'm gonna say this: me and Tommy, as we got older, we kind of grew apart because we was into totally different things. All three of us was into different things. So when Jerron passed away, it made us both realize that really we all we got. You know what I'm saying? And anything can happen at any moment. So, whatever it is, like I try to talk to him at least once a week, if anything. I try to, at least try to check on him, see what he doing. He call me or text me every now and then. But like I say, that's really the main thing. It brought us closer because you never know what might happen. So it was just like, dang, like, bro, like, that was crazy. Ain't nobody expect that because he was an athlete. Jerron was an athlete, so we didn't expect that. But as far as in like I'm saying, like to the funeral, it amazed me. Like he did great at the service. I didn't even know that he was gonna be the one to do it, but he did, and I'm proud of him for doing that because I know you gotta be a strong person to do that. And like I say, we was close. Like it was just three of us. That's all we had, so it was close and real personal. You know what I mean? So he did great. I didn't expect him to do it. I thought maybe, how you just have other ministers and all that do funerals, but he held it down and did it great. And he did a great job. Boom. I remember one day, they was in high school, so they went to school earlier then. I believe they was in high school. Yeah, and I was in middle school. So one day, like I told y'all about the clothes situation, I go and try to get an outfit. I go in the closet. I see Tommy in the closet. He's supposed to have been at school at like 6-something in the morning. And I don't leave the house till about 8 or something like that. So I'm like, bro, what you doing? Basically, he was skipping school. So I'm like, nah, this ain't you. But anyway, that's when I found out I knew. See, that's when I tested my mama then. That's why I said kind of, you know what I'm saying? It go from the big brother to the little brother. Because whatever I seen them do, I guess I followed suit. So when I seen him kind of like, skipping school and all that, but he was skipping school for a good reason. Little do people know. We didn't know at the time, but he was skipping school for music and to do things at the church and stuff like that. So I started skipping school. I just followed his suit on skipping school, and then we, like I said, we both like he ended up dropping out or whatever, but look at him now. You know what I'm saying? Look at him now. I'm proud of him though. I admire you a whole lot because I'm gonna just go back through your situations, like as far as like I said, from the skipping schools to having kids as a teenager, and to where you are now. Like you back then, you handled your business. You grew up. I guess it made you man up, and honestly, once I first had my baby, it was the same way. It made me man up. So like I guess I got it from you. You know what I'm saying? To like, okay, all right, you done had a child. Ain't nothing you can do about it. So now it's time to man up, and you did that. You take care of them. As far as, like I said, go back to when you first started on that keyboard. And we ain't think that you'll be the person you are now. You know what I'm saying? Teaching people. You holding classes of teaching people how to you know, play the keyboard and notes and all that old type of stuff. But I'm proud of you for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you came a long way. You know what I mean? You know, I love you. But yeah, I also admire the fact that you was the one who kind of like held the house together. You know, we ain't. I mean, of course, we had our little stepdads or whatever, but you was the one who really, like I say, held it together. You know what I'm saying? You was making sure we was doing our own work, and we couldn't. It was kind of like on your word if we can go outside to play, but we had to make sure our work was done. And back then, I was mad at it, but now that I'm grown, I understand. You know what I'm saying? What you was doing and what you was trying to do. You was just trying to make sure that it's like a lesson. You know what I'm saying? You like before you go out to play, you need to have your priorities done. We need to clean up this house or whatever mama left up to you to tell us to do when we got out of school. You made sure it got done, whether it was clean the house, take the trash, do your homework, all those type of things. You made sure it got done. But like I said back then, yeah, I want to fight and all that, because I'm like, man, you just my brother. You ain't, you know. Now, mama told me I'd do it with no question. But like I say, I understand it now. You know what I'm saying? What it was for. I showed up, and I admire your dressing. See, anybody know you can dress. You was the one who really taught Jerron how to dress, if don't nobody know that. That's why you go in your closet, not Jerron's closet. I want your shoes and clothes, you know. And but yeah, bro, I'm really proud of you and the things that you've accomplished. It don't take a high school graduate or a college graduate to make it in life, you know what I'm saying? You dropped out at the age of 16, but look at you now. You know what I'm saying? You got your car, you're taking care of all your kids, you got a job, and more importantly, from that keyboard to now, you came a long way. Like I say, how a person who ain't went to school for that, teaching others how to do it. You learned everything by ear. You learned music by ear, and I find that what's that word? I find that fascinating. That you learn how to do this all just by ear. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. Like, and that was amazing to me. To me, that was amazing that you figured out how these little different sounds, and okay, this A note or this the C note or whatever, and you took it from there, and now that's your passion. And like I say, I'm proud of you. I see you traveling, you know, somewhere everywhere. I'm proud of you. You keep yourself up, looking nice. And I love you, and happy birthday.
30 seconds, big bro. You know me, I'm gonna make it quick. I love you. You Tommy Cody, big bro, stand-up guy, fly, and just the right person to be, man. You know, I take your hand over my hand any day, bro. I love you. And anything that we did, it wasn't me, it was always him. Okay? I love you though. I got him and I got you. Just keep looking over us, bro. Keep praying for us, bro. Like he said, bro, you brought the family together, bro, with all the madness that's been going on the last couple of years. Keep doing your thing, bro. Last thing, happy birthday. Let me know where we at.
When I first met Tommy, it's about 8 years ago now, and he was very mild-mannered, very laid-back, which he still is. Just a remarkable young man, and I thought to myself, what a great man. And I didn't know at that time that he was ministering. So we went to, me, Cody, and his grandmother came to your church, and he was doing the sermon that Sunday. It wasn't Harvest. It was some church where he was speaking at. We went to downtown, and he was preaching, and it was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable to hear that young man just minister to my soul, and of course to the people who were there, but ministered to my soul. And I thought to myself, what a gift that God has given him. And I don't even know if he, and this is just me outside looking in, I don't even know if that time he really knew the gift he had, because I've heard him since then on Facebook, and I've just heard that word even deeper now than it was back then. So I don't even know at that point how much he knew, or if he knew that what God had in store for him. And this is just a few years ago, from the first time I heard him to where he is now, and the little snippets that I hear on Facebook that he does on Facebook, or even just playing the piano. But then also to see how he interacts with his children. So then I kind of started seeing this whole person, not just the minister, but also the father. And at that time also the husband, that he really, really wanted and had a deep passion to be a true man of God. And I kind of have seen him now really walking in to what I believe God has ordained him for, to be a whole person, to be this well-rounded man who can touch lives and who has touched lives, not only his children, but for us, for, his grandmother, and for, everybody who comes in contact with him. I believe that he has the gift of touching their lives and just change, and I feel like he can change a life in an instant, just his presence. I don't know that he just has to say something, but just the fact that he comes around and he, for the 5 minutes that I'll see him, or, the few minutes that we're all together, or we're at Thanksgiving dinner at your aunt's house, and, he's just a light in the room. Always a light in the room. And the kids absolutely adore him. And so, I can't say enough about what effect he's had on my life. I too have a son who's Tommy's age. Well, he'll be 28. My son is 27 today. Mm-hmm. And, I look and I say, where God gives everybody a gift. But at that age, just for him to even know the word of God is amazing. To know it and to speak it and to live it is just amazing. And to me, it doesn't matter where you came from. Doesn't matter what your history was or the things that preceded you to where you are now. It just matters where you are and where God has taken you now. And I just really believe that God has taken him to the moon. And I think everybody really should stop and kind of take notice of what's really going on and kind of tap in on that. Touch him if you can. Touch him and get a little bit of that if you can.
All right. When I was 20 years old, I was in love with his mother, Talithia Cowan. We had a great relationship. Thought it would last forever. But we prayed for a son. He wasn't an accident. He was definitely planned for. And during those times, his dad, myself, I was into a lot of mischievous things. And when Talithia became pregnant, I was definitely a proud father. The first time when I was 20. And then she had a miscarriage. And then we tried again and prayed again. And by 21 and she was 19, Tommy came. I was ecstatic. I'm still ecstatic now because that was my firstborn. He has my name. I can't wait till he have his firstborn. Still waiting on that, firstborn. I'm very excited to even do this right now for him, to let him know that I really do care about him and that I love him. I always got his back. I'm always there when he needs me. But during those times, I remember Tommy as a little kid, he was a crybaby. He used to cry a lot. He couldn't stand to see old people for some reason. I think somebody scared him when he was coming up. But anytime I take him to the mall, he see old people, he just go wild. I couldn't bring him down or try to calm him. He wouldn't calm down. So I didn't know what was going on with that. So I was like, so I hurried up and rushed him back to his mom and said, what's going on with my son? What's wrong with him? Tell me, oh, well, he think old people trying to get him. So for some reason, I don't know. But that was his thing. And but I do recall Tommy growing up, I wanted him to play sports because I was into sports myself a lot, very athletic guy I am. And but that wasn't Tommy's thing. Tommy's thing was more as in reading books, pretty much dressing up in suits and dress clothes and walking around the house singing, playing, beating on drums or playing on his little musical things that he had. And so I already knew that that was going to be his thing, music. And but I do recall Tommy changed my life. And I just want you to know this, son, you changed my life. And you might remember this when I was locked up. And my dad doing his mischievous, all that stuff caught up with me. And your grandmother, my mother, brought you to the jail, to DeKalb County. And she brought you with her, and you cried because you couldn't touch me. And just you seeing me behind those doors and I couldn't touch you, and you was like, Daddy, I can't touch you. Why are you back there? Come home. And you was crying. You changed my life at that point. At that point, I knew right there, I said, my son would never see me like this again, ever. And by the grace of God, I kept hold to that, kept strong to that. So I want to thank you for that, son. You've always been an inspiration in my life. First of all, happy birthday, Tommy Cody Jr. I'm very proud of you. Want to let you know that I love you from the bottom of my heart. You're the best thing that ever happened to me.
Good. Happy birthday, Tommy. Hope you have many, many more. I'm so proud of you. You have really grown since I've known you. You are just a remarkable young man, and I just pray that God will take you to higher levels, more so than you can ever imagine. But I love you, and keep going forward.
That's it, forward movement.
That too.
Look at him.
Okay. Can we start?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Wait, but do you want him to look at you?
I gotta give him some angles to work with.
Say, tell us about Number Street. Okay.
Bloopers at the end.
Right. I keep looking at that like I'm sorry. No, it's okay. We can edit it.
What should I end it with?
Oh, no, only that.
And so I just look.
Oh, let me show you how the camera looks.
Oh, okay, so you're not working
She
tonight?
gonna be on camera too.
Oh.
Is he gonna catch that?